Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to another hashtag We Are Movie Club Saturday Hangout. I am Kamurai.
And I'm Charlie. Hello, everybody.
Charlie's the sexy English one, aren't you?
And you're the love American one.
I'm the what American one?
Let's get on with the show.
It would be lovely. You're cutting out a little bit, but we'll try to manage. So we still haven't got you using the calendar.
No, you're right, we haven't, because I forgot.
I should have yelled at you earlier, but I didn't leave us a whole lot of time.
We got distracted.
I've been distracted all day. I need to kick some butt on projects when I get back on, and hopefully I'll have some Monaco footage going up from last week.
Productivity.
Well, I was playing with the kids last week, because occasionally I play video games, and when I do, I like to record it. And the kids called me up looking to play something, and I'm like, did you guys ever play Monaco? And they're like, what's Monaco? I'm like, okay, boot this up. I think, did you get a copy of that? I can't remember.
I've got a copy, but I've actually looked and I've run out of hard drive space, so I won't be able to install it.
Okay, it's really small, but I mean, like, yeah, manage your space how you need to manage it. That's an occasional thing for me, is I just have to kind of go, my computer's kind of messy, let me clean everything up. And I'll just start backing up files and sending them to the server, and of course I've got that. I doubt you do.
No.
So, let's try to end on the pick of the week. Do you want to talk about anything you want to talk, or you watched first and foremost, or?
Yeah, contrary to everything I've said for weeks and weeks on end, I actually watched something other than the pick of the week.
Hold on. Where is it? Okay. I had Google Plus up from when this thing started us up, because I'm not in the same modes that I'm used to being, and the Google right then where you saw me kind of go is when the Google Hangout went live. So that's our delay time.
Right, okay.
And then I unwisely closed Google Plus just now, so this does exist without it. Sorry, so you were saying you watched something.
I watched two things that weren't on the list of things to watch every week.
Well, that's a start. What'd you watch,
I was actually amazed. Well, basically the story goes back to last week, where my landlord decided that I needed to watch things. So he just gave me DVDs and went, here. So we've ploughed through 2 out of the 4.
Well, what were the 4 things he gave you? Let's start there.
He gave me Shawshank Redemption.
Approved.
No.
What are the other 3?
Blade Runner.
The original?
The Harrison Ford one, yes.
Okay, I don't think I've actually seen that one.
And he also gave me Gladiator.
Okay, yeah.
And Reservoir Dogs.
I could totally see you getting into that one.
And I did.
Okay, that was one of the 2 that you watched?
That was one of the 2 that I watched.
Okay, so we'll start talking about that one, because I definitely want to hear what you have to say about Reservoir Dogs.
Well, that was a good film. In a nutshell. No.
It's like, have something more to say than...
in a nutshell. Right, move on. Next. No.
This is me in a nutshell. Sorry.
No, I thought it was really good, just that sort of how this almost feeling of isolation just completely plays on the mind and can send you completely crazy, which it did for the vast majority of them.
Okay, give us a quick like a short sale real quick because I'm having trouble remembering. All I can remember about the movie is that I didn't get into it.
That they all die. No, basically, the movie starts in the aftermath of a heist rather than the actual event itself. It starts with the aftermath, and basically the whole thing's gone wrong because the police turned up almost immediately. So you have one of them virtually dead. He's been shot and quite badly, and 3 of them end up in the warehouse that was the meeting point, and are convinced that one of them is a mole. And then a couple of others show up, and then there's quite a good torture scene, and basically it's just the immediate aftermath of this, and then they discover which one's the mole, and he shoots people, and then the big boss turns up, and there's like a massive 4-way shot fight thing, and then you end with almost the final scene of them all dead.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I think
It sounds like something I would enjoy. I don't know why I didn't get into it.
well, that's gonna actually bring me onto something we'll talk about later, as in things that we don't actually, for some reason, think we think that we will like, but we don't, or don't get into at least. But
Okay.
no, for me it was almost more of the psychology than, because you don't see the actual event happen, you see everything other than. You see beforehand, you see after, but you don't see the actual event. So,
Do you think there's actually enough backstory there where it could warrant a prequel?
I'm tempted to say no, because part of the film is flashbacking to sort of flesh out the characters. So you've kind of got that. You've got the sort of almost prequel within the film there.
Well,
So I don't.
Is it where they're drip feeding you information?
Pretty much, yeah.
Idiot cat.
But they drip feed you just enough, and I think that there is nowhere for that film to go. You know, there's no room for a sequel. There's no room for a prequel. There's no need to.
And that's good that they haven't made one when they don't need to. That's kind of an annoying thing. But there's 2 ways to do flashbacks. There's flashbacks where it gives you character development, where it tells you more about the character and what their personality is. It shows you how they react in situations. And then there's storyline flashbacks, where it flashes back to a point to give you information that you need to know for the upcoming scenes. And I really get into that. My go-to example of that today is, and I forgot it. It's Mia Wasikowska or whatever from Alice in Wonderland. I will look it up in IMDb. But she is in there, and it's all about someone's a psychopath essentially, and you're trying to kind of guess who's going to be the one to break, or if they're really going to break, and it's all kind of told from her perspective, but I don't know. It's so hard to say without spoiling anything, because almost the entire movie is, here's a situation, now we're going to flash back to give you just enough information so that the next scene makes sense. And it's very much about controlling what the audience knows, and I really, really like that.
That's kind of what happens here. You have
Stoker.
You have
sorry.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, you have the introduction of a character by name, and then it gives you kind of like the flashback to how they ended up in this position, and then sort of takes you back to where you were.
Yeah, I really like that sort of thing. I must just not have been giving it proper attention.
Do what I do and watch it with beer. That works. It's amazing how much better.
Don't do that. Don't be that guy. Okay. So that's one I'll throw back on my watch list for sure. I might even have a copy somewhere. I don't know.
It's not even a very long film. It's only an hour and a half.
Well, that seems like the way people talk about it. It seems like one of those movies where you go in, you get your point across, and you get out. Because if you stay too long, you'll lose interest.
Yeah, I don't think there was any. They didn't need to really do much else to it. You know, adding more to it probably would have ruined it. I mean, there's like the 5 main characters involved in the heist. They're all given color-coded names. one of them is referenced to about 6 or 7 times. You see him in like a 3-second flashback clip, and that's it. Because
What
he's
color
killed.
is he?
Oh God, which one was that? I think that was blue
Interesting.
or
Okay.
brown. I can't remember. I have to check on that. But there's one where you see him in like the very like, one of like the introductory scene of which one's which, and then that's it pretty much. It was really, really strange. But no, it's definitely a good film and one I would recommend you having a go with if you.
I threw
ever-
back my list. I'll probably watch it tonight or tomorrow, honestly.
Mm.
And I'll have to come back at you a little bit more tomorrow or next week. Sorry. Okay. I'm definitely intrigued. I definitely want to watch it now because before I think it was like somebody was like, "Watch this." I can't believe you haven't seen it, Dick. And I think that was my motivation. Was like, okay. What was the other film you watched?
Gladiator.
That one I remember large bits and pieces, but I don't remember anything becoming of it. Like it was this epic long movie, and it was awesome, but like I don't remember there being any real content.
Well, this is it. It's a very visually orientated film, that one, and it's like a man's quest to get vengeance. So it's something that's been done before. Whether it's been done in a Roman context or not, I'm not really sure. But certainly the idea isn't fresh. But I thought it was really good. As I say, visually, it was very impressive.
If I remember right, there's like some kind of conflict in the beginning. He ends up getting thrown in as a gladiator slave, and then trying to fight his way to freedom to get at like a nobleman or something.
Pretty much, he's the head of he's a Roman general who is essentially appointed Caesar's successor upon his death, much to the annoyance of Caesar's son. So then the general is thrown to the wolves, ends up having his family killed, and then he's taken into slavery and becomes a gladiator and essentially works his way back up, and then kills said emperor and then dies himself. So.
Well, he doesn't kill Julius. He kills his son.
Yeah, Commodus.
Okay.
But yeah, but he has, he's given like a slow burning wound, as it were. So once he's kind of achieved his redemption, he then dies himself.
So no chance of a sequel.
Not with him, no.
He'll bring it back as a zombie.
Oh God, you could see someone in Hollywood actually considering that, though, couldn't you?
Well, after like the success of 300 and the sequel, I could totally see someone selling that and making that a thing. Like we'll do it like Frank Miller's stuff, but this will be all our property, so we don't have to give him any rights. And it's like we'll bring him back as a zombie, and there'll be a necromancer or whatever, and he'll lead an army of the undead against the Roman Empire.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
It sounds like such a ridiculous idea, but it might actually make some money if somebody did that.
You can see someone doing it, though, can't you? This is the thing.
Yeah, it's almost to my chagrin. I don't know if that's how you use that word or not, but
you should do it.
I can't remember. Do you watch Doctor Who?
No.
This is more newsworthy than what we've been watching, but the first episode of the Last Doctor, or I'm sorry, the newest Doctor, who's supposed to be the Last Doctor, has come out.
It has. It was on last week.
Yeah. So far I watched like an hour-long thing with Mark and Elizabeth from the Gardeners from Weird Girls. They were talking about it. They did a cast on it. And then Becky O, who's another Englander. She was at Summer in the City. I saw footage of her there. She did a thing about it because it triggered her. She's a trick. I can't remember what the full name is, but she compulsively pulls her hair out.
Okay, I don't know that, and I'm not going to try.
It's a thing, but her name's Becky O. She's one of you guys. But that was her thing. She did like a little 5-minute YouTube video about it and just how it triggered her, because apparently there's a scene where like he rips out some of his hair, and then he rips out like a thread or so of her hair, and then like they focus on it for like 30 seconds. I don't know. It's the thing. But that's newsworthy, I would think, in television right now.
I would imagine so, yeah.
Because we got these new seasons starting up, and like Big Bang hasn't started yet, but I'll talk about that when that starts back up.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
One of the things that have ended, which I only thought they were doing 3 books, but supposedly they are doing a 4th book, Legend of Korra.
I heard something about it, but I don't know. I don't know if anything else is in the works.
Well, I could see them just stopping here, honestly, because you could do it. But the story, I want a 4th book because I want to see what happens with Korra. But I think they have a huge potential to end the franchise, like altogether, and have it end on a good note instead of dragging shit out.
I was going to ask, do you think there should be another one?
I'm torn. I think if they do it correctly, and Nickelodeon doesn't deserve this property, but they don't. They've mishandled Legend of Korra entirely, and I think they even repressed Last Airbender. Now that I look at this show, God, what was I gonna say? If they do a book 4, they need to do it just right. It needs to be focused on like Korra's internal struggle, identifying who she is, and what's going to become of the Avatar state itself. Because we're really to a point where like she could just end the Avatar cycle, and it would be okay. You don't know what I'm talking about when I say that, do you?
No, but I'll pretend I do.
Okay, for anyone else who's watching and doesn't know as well, the Avatar cycle is this thing where like there's the 4 elements, there's air, water, wind, earth, and every time an Avatar finally dies and they don't die in the Avatar state, it cycles to the next thing, and I think it goes air, water, and I want to say fire, earth. So if Korra dies, then theoretically it'll cycle to a firebender on the next cycle. But even though we've seen this cycle go on, and in Last Airbender we see Aang communicate with the previous avatars, and then it obviously passes from him to Korra. Korra actually ends up severing the ties to the last avatars. So she's now on her own cycle. And she's been tried to be killed, and people remove the avatar from the world. So this whole theme in this last book has been, does the world actually need the avatar? Because that's like her greatest fear, is that no one needs her, even though she's this cool special thing. And that's what all the enemies have said. All the enemies from the first book be like, we don't want you anymore, we don't want benders anymore. People abuse this power, and it should be taken away. And the second book is all about the essentially chaos to the good taking over and killing the Avatar, and chaos enveloping the world. Whereas the third book is all about just removing the Avatar and letting chaos rule itself. Go back to natural order.
It does sound like an interesting thing, the whole Korra business. I do need to get into it.
There's some deep philosophical roots to it as well, yeah.
That might take a while to get there, though.
Yeah, definitely go back and watch Last Airbender first if you haven't. It's well worth the trip.
Yeah, I will get there. Oh, what was I going to say then?
Go ahead.
That was it. I found something while browsing on the internet. You mentioning Nickelodeon reminded me of the old '90s Nickelodeon that pretty much any child will have seen. Someone's actually made like a 24-hour long, well, streaming, essentially Nickelodeon channel of all the old '90s stuff,
Okay.
which can get surprisingly nostalgic very quickly.
That definitely needs to exist in some capacity. I wish Nickelodeon would man up and host that, but until then, we'll
The
have
thing
to.
is, it's being done under fair use policy, so it can actually exist completely copyright free. It's nickreboot.com, and it's currently playing Rugrats.
Yay, Rugrats!
It's got old episodes of the Rugrats.
Well, I think as long as they do it as a live stream and not as individual episodes that you can replay on your own, I think that's what gets them by.
Yeah, it is. It's a stream.
Okay, so because as long as I can't go back and watch Rugrats episode 3 whenever I want, then it's just I'm watching this stream.
Yeah, it is. It's a stream. So, I mean, there's nothing else on there today that I'd actually want to watch, but there's something there for people.
Okay, that's neat. I really wish Nick was endorsing it, but whatever. Go ahead.
It'd be handy, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It's just something I want to see out of more TV networks and get us away from cable, because cable's killing us all. It sounds very dramatic, but it's not too far from the truth. But that was a big, great finale to that show, and sorry, let me get series out of the way. Revolution Series 2. I saw a lot of it when it came out on NBC a while back, but I got behind and then I gave up because it's not one of those shows you can watch disjointed.
Mm-hmm.
That's the show I think I was telling you about where the power goes out.
Yes, I remember you mentioning that.
Yeah, so it's so good, and we're led back up to a point where like the U.S. government, season 2 is all about the U.S. government trying to come back in and regain control of our country because we've broken back up into republics. I think like Texas took over itself, California kind of took over the West, and the South was just a mess. But like in the Northeast, I want to say was where the Monroe Republic formed, and that's where a lot of our characters are from. But like they went to battle with Georgia, which took over a lot of the South. And essentially what happened is like they go to figure out why the power went out, like the source, and then they get the power back on long enough that like nukes get launched, and the power goes back out. So season 2 is all dealing with that aftermath and wars between the republics and trying to figure out that now that they know why the power is staying off, how to deal with that. So season 3 is going to definitely be very much more dramatic. Sorry, I'm all distracted with Kitty.
That's fine.
It's... Okay, I'll keep talking. She's just acting like... She's been doing this past couple days. She's acting like I should follow her to go see what's happening. But she'll just run around and look at me. I don't know what her problem is. But occasionally they do get themselves like locked in the bathroom and stuff.
Oh god.
So like I'll hear meowing and I'll be like, "Who's making noise? Oh, I don't see anybody." Oh, you've been locked in the bathroom all day. Get up, get up. Sorry. Okay, so and then you started me up on Rookie Blue, you bastard.
Yeah, I love the irony that I told you to watch that and you've now watched more of it than I have.
Oh, have you? You've only seen what, season 1?
I haven't. I just haven't started it again.
I don't blame you. It is a very hard show to get back into, but like kind of once you start watching it, you're like, well, let's see what happens next. because I stopped at after season 2 for a while, and I was like, I've kind of burned out on TV shows, and I don't really want to watch cops. Fucking too much nonsense going on right now in our country, or in America, in the Americas.
In America.
Yeah. So, but I started back up, and I'm like, I'm liking this show more and more, and it's got just enough of anything to keep me interested. Like, it's a little bit funny. It's got a little bit of drama. It's got this weird family dynamic thing going on between all the officers. You've got romances. You're dealing with deaths. You're dealing with whatever. It's got good-looking people for whoever you're into. I don't know. It's a sticky show, is what I'm going to call it. It'll draw you in.
I like that description, actually. That works well.
You've seen Marvel movies at this point, right? Where Agent... You know who Agent Coulson is?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's done a movie called Trust Me. Who's the other actress? It's someone I don't like. She was in The Whole Nine Yards. I can't believe I forget this every time. What?
It's not butter.
It's not butter?
Sorry. No, never mind, carry on.
Amanda Peet. I don't know why I grew to dislike her, but there's something... I mean, she was naked in Whole Nine Yards with a handgun. It's like, nah. Like, just nothing like to motivate me to like her for the longest time. But she's in that too. But it's all about this agent that tries to hook up kid stars into roles, and like that's what he does for a living. And he runs across this young actress who he thinks her dad is abusing her, so he tries to rescue her. So it's just one shitstorm of lies and bullshit after the other. Which sounds like it would be a good movie, right?
But
the ending is a total disappointment. I won't even hide it. It ends and you're like, that's it? Why? What was the point of all this? It really makes you feel like you wasted your time. Don't eat that. Stupid. And then, speaking of wasted time, Tadpole.
Tadpole.
Kid's in love with his stepmom, sleeps with her best friend. And then I think they actually try to get together. And of course, it's all wrong. None of it works. That's the whole movie. Say again, buddy?
Cow, that is a short-looking film. I've just had a look on Wikipedia.
Which one?
Tadpole.
Yeah, it's bullshit. Fuck that movie. Authors Anonymous. I did finish that one. I told you about it last week. It's the Kaylee Kuko Calvin Klein movie.
Oh yeah.
Another waste of time. Not redeeming at all. It's essentially her character just gets bigger and more famous with the least amount of skill and most amount of luck possible, and it just gets it's just horrible. Let's see. You know what? Let me rearrange the order I had these in, because there's honestly a better way. Cinema Paradiso. Have I told you how much I love subtitles?
Sorry, go.
Okay, hold on. Try again?
Yeah, you have.
I'm losing you, Charlie. I hate reading subtitles because it makes me focus on the movie, but not only can I not multitask like I do and distract myself so I take everything in better, but I'm reading the subtitles instead of watching the movie.
Right.
So I watched that because of Rooster Teeth's screenplay podcast, but I don't know. I just didn't like. There'll be a review up eventually. I can't say it's for me. It's Italian.
No, his screenplay gotten any better.
I love JJ's got a good podcast. I hate that he brings Meg on there. It looks like he's just rotating out, like he wants a female on there every show right now.
Mm.
So you had like Meg, and she gets into it because she likes talking about movies, but I don't really like listening to Meg. And like Ashley came on there the next week. And I love Ashley. She always has good stuff to say. And she got kind of into it. It just doesn't seem to be her avenue, but she definitely tried. She got into it. Barbara got in there, and I love Barbara because like she's great and always lovely to see. But she didn't get into it as much. She was just kind of like, "Oh, I'm here.
Yeah, I'm here. Hi."
Can I make a pun? Can I make a dick joke? No, we're gonna talk about movies. Okay. So I think Meg. Sorry, go ahead.
What about movies with dick jokes and puns?
Exactly, but that's what Barbara lives for is drawing dicks and making puns. So it's what it is. So I think Meg's gonna end up being the female staple on that show, and that's fine. She knows movies well enough. It's not like she actually hurts the conversation.
Mm.
But between JJ, her, and Joey, they really have a good chemistry going on for talking about movies. So I really like that.
So it's getting there then.
It's fine. The content's fine. It's just a stupid name for a podcast. And Bernie even said it on the Rooster Teeth podcast. Like that's a dumb. Like I told him it was a dumb name, and they're like, "We're gonna do screenplay with a play button," and he's like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. Okay.
Ridiculous. I don't know. He seems like a good guy. I want to watch more of him. Okay, so I watched Contagion. It turns out I had watched this one before.
That sounds like something I'd either have watched or like.
What it is, it's like Matt Damon, Gwyneth Paltrow, Kate Winslet, the guy who plays Morpheus, Lawrence Fishburne. It's got a star-studded cast. It's all about this disease that they don't know where it came from, but it essentially cooks you in like inside 10 days. And you spread it by coughing on people, like by touch.
Mm.
So she brought it back from Hong Kong and stopped over in Chicago. So they have outbreaks in Chicago and wherever Matt Damon lives, and then in Hong Kong, and then there's one in England. Jude Law's in it too. That's right. Is he as big over there as he is here?
Not massively. You don't. Well,
I wouldn't think so, honestly.
I don't tend to hear much about him anymore.
Well, because there was that long period where he made a lot of money, where he was just like, I'm going to be in everything, and I'm going to be Watson, and I think he got big over here because your sexy English accent, but.
Well. We try our best.
It works for you guys over here. I'm just saying.
But is Contagion a very modern film? It sounds like it's only been out for a little while.
I would say it's more modern than not. If we look at the wonderful IMDb, it says 2011.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So it's definitely modern. It looks really good. It holds up that way. But there are a lot of shots where it's kind of dingy, and I think they do it on purpose to kind of show that everything's kind of a rundown, because they come inside and they have brightly lit stuff because everyone there is healthy and happy. But then you go to like infected scenes, and it's a lot of grays. So they do play with the aesthetics really well. I'll give them that. But they do the thing where it's like they keep track of which day you're on, and then they'll flash back to previous days. And so the last scene is the day one where we have patient 0.
Yeah.
Where we learn where it comes from.
I might actually write that down, because it does sound like my kind of thing. So I'm surprised that I haven't seen that.
I don't know if it's presented in a way you'll like it. I'll be honest. I would definitely suggest you watch it and let me know.
I'll give it a look.
Um, yeah,
Assuming
but
I get time.
yeah, and there's always that. But I just it's not a movie I would associate with you normally.
Alright.
Like I said, when I saw Nut Job, I was like, that's a Charlie movie. It's sitting on my queue. I'll watch it eventually.
Hasn't that literally only just come out?
Yeah, but it just came out on Netflix, so like it's go boom.
I swear it only just come out in the cinema over here.
It's quite possible. It doesn't look like it did. It's a movie that did very well because I just only heard of it.
Yeah, I think I've only just seen it come out in the cinema over here.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Let's see. Next one on the list, Goodbye World.
Sounds very serious.
It's very serious subject matter, but it's kind of like Revolution. It's like somebody creates some technology and then someone steals someone else's technology to deliver it. So essentially, a virus goes out to like everybody's phones and computers and locks it down, so nobody can use the internet or the phone lines or anything.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah, and I did too. I was like, oh, I'm watching this. And it just so happens that we're focused on a old friend reunion. So it's essentially like, I don't know, like four couples and this kid. I don't know where she came from, honestly. All at this house, and they're kind of hippies. So like they've got solar power. They have some basic farming. They've been stocking up their own medicine. So they're real kind of self-sufficient. And then they start hearing all this stuff on the news, and it turns out like one of the friends is involved in whatever caused everything, of course. But two soldiers show up in uniform, like deserts, and they're like, "Oh, we're on recon for our unit, trying to figure out how to reallocate supplies." So they talk about setting up camp there. They show up on horses that belong to their neighbors. That they claim they borrowed.
As you do.
Yeah. So they're like, oh yeah, we'll set up here, and we'll start scouting in the morning. And they're like, and the guy whose house it is like, no, you won't. This is my house. You can't quarter yourselves here. And like, of course, there's somebody there who's like a lawyer, who is just constantly quoting like constitutional rights. So they tell him off and don't get shot in the face, which is amazing. But what happens is the neighbors, all the surrounding communities, go and end up at the next door neighbor's house a couple miles away, to stay away from the gangs that are showing up, because like a couple people got raided.
Right.
So they all form like a community, but of course there's too many people and not enough resources because nobody's prepared. And even though the solar panel house has all these extra people, they're at least self-sufficient to some degree, and so they start talking about doing more farming and everything to compensate. So of course the soldiers end up down in that community, and they take over because they're not scouting for shit.
30 seconds into the map.
Tell you what, you watch a real range of films.
What do you mean?
Well, I know how many you watch because I see the list every week, but there's all sorts of stuff on there. From things like that to Tadpole.
Well, I mean, I like romantic comedies. They're probably like a good staple. But comedies are typically cheap. They don't last. They don't hold out over the years.
That's true.
With notable exceptions. But dramas are powerful enough that they definitely stick around. So like just right there, like I like watching comedies because I like not feeling depressed every now and again.
Yeah, it makes a nice change.
Yeah, but like you throw in something like Watchmen, Sweeney Todd, those are movies that stick with me. Dark Knight.
Yeah.
So, anyways, to wrap Goodbye World up, it comes down to like a lot of like how people behave when the world ends, essentially. So it's really always neat to see somebody's interpretation of that. And on that exact note, the other movie is After the Dark. Bonnie Wright's in this. She's from your neck of the woods too.
Why does After the Dark sound familiar? That really sounds familiar, and I can't work out why.
Well, Bonnie Wright's in it. She's a big English star over there because she was Ginny Weasley.
Well, yeah, apart from...
It could tangentially be related to that. But After the Dark is all about this college course. It's one class, the very last class of the semester, and it's a philosophy class. So the teacher is pretty loosey-goosey with the grades, it seems. But he presents them with scenarios that are like end-of-the-world scenarios, and they have to figure out like what's the most logical way to survive. And it turns out that like he does like 3 scenarios about a bunker. The world's about to be hit with radiation from all these bombs. You have a bunker that can survive 10 people for a year. How and who do you pick to go into the bunker?
That's a bit of a difficult choice, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the thing, is there's no good answer. You just have to pick the least worst.
Yeah.
So he to make it a little bit more sensible, he assigns everybody like a job in the first scenario, except they don't know what his job is. So they go through it, and so he starts shooting other people that are worthless, and they have like one last meeting, and then while they're gone, he shoots everyone who wasn't going to make it because they asked him to. So now the 10th person is this psychopath with a gun. So they kind of vote to like handle him and kick him out at one point, but it turns out they don't have the exit code to the thing, so they end up killing him. But they don't realize that he was the one that had the exit code.
That again, for some reason, that sounds like my kind of thing.
Yeah, it's super crazy, logical, smarty movie. I totally recommend it for anyone who wants to use their brain, but it's not a layback watch.
Maybe it's not for me then.
No, that's the thing. It's like, because it gets you thinking. It's like, well, what is the best way? What is the solution? What are the things I don't know? So it gets you thinking about the mystery aspect. And he goes through the other scenarios. In each scenario, they know a little bit more, so they change their tactic. Let's see. Thanks for sharing. I was really impressed with. It has Pink in it. She's a pop music artist. I don't know if you know her.
Oh yes.
So she was
Mark Ruffalo in it as well.
Yeah, and the Hulk. Yeah.
That's no way to talk about Gwyneth Paltrow.
She's not what? She's not in that. But it's got some great people in it. Not just those two. Like there's actually a heavyset guy in there that I think is really good. I've seen him in a couple other things. Pulling it up now. Oh, she is in it. That's right. She's the love interest. She's a compulsive exerciser. Josh Gad is the guy, or Josh Gad. Sorry, he's really funny. He's in there. Who is the crazy girl? Oh, Emily Mead. I don't know what I know her from though. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure this out real quick. That awkward moment, maybe? I don't know. Okay. But she seems like somebody I should look into. Oh, it's probably Burning Palms. If that's what I think it is. So, anyway, so it's all about sex addiction. So it focuses on the support group. They're all there for Sex Edition, Josh Gad's character is mandated to be there by court, but he's the guy that's been slacking off, just trying to get people to sign off for him.
Slacking off or something else?
Slacking off. He does do a fair bit of that, but part of it is that you're not supposed to masturbate. So, of course, he's been lying about that. But he hooks a camera up to his shoe, and first he's there mandatorily because he groped people on the subway, and then he's talking to his boss. And he's trying to apologize for making an inappropriate comment, but he's got a camera hooked up to his shoe that's hooked up to a monitor that's attached to his wrist for some reason. So he's trying to apologize while angling his foot under her skirt so he can see her panties. So he gets fired or suspended or whatever because he's a doctor. I forgot to mention. Oh yeah, I guarantee I know her from Burning Palm. Sorry, now that I saw the cover. So it's all about Mark Ruffalo trying to help Josh Gad, and then him and Pink have this fun relationship where they don't fuck, but they help each other with their problems, which is actually very uplifting. And then Mark Ruffalo and Gwyneth Paltrow get in this relationship where they both try to meet understandings of each other's like compulsive habits, and that goes really well. So there's this crazy scene where he's with Emily Mead, and she breaks down, and he kind of has a moment of clarity. And Josh Gad actually comes to his rescue, even though Mark Ruffalo is supposed to be his mentor. And then there's the guy from Shawshank Redemption, is Mark Ruffalo's mentor. What was his name? Sorry, I'm loving like the small world connections here. Tim Robbins.
Syndrome.
Tim Robbins is Mark Ruffalo's mentor. So everyone's helping each other out with their problems and having problems, and there's some crazy sex stuff involved. So it's entertaining, but at the same time you're like, what's happening? Any reaction, Charlie?
What's happening? God, that sounded almost like Caboose.
Yeah.
I think that's a very specific film for a very specific audience. I'm not casting any kind of aspersion on you there. I'm just saying that.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that's not a film that's going to reach out to a general audience, is it?
No, and I definitely will say that because usually those are family films, and this is not. To say the least.
Definitely not a family film.
But that led me back.
Maybe, but.
But I remember thinking about what I thought it was such a good movie. That led me back into thinking about. I watched Nymphomaniac Volume 1. I told you about last week. So I watched the second one this week. I really, I'll even say in spite of all the sex and nudity that's in that movie, because yeah, she's hot, but it's not why I'm watching this. There's actually a very compelling story that she's telling behind all the sexy curtain. And there's some very not negative things in connotation with the sex. So it's like, oh my god, I can't believe that. But Volume 2 ventures into a little bit of venturing into BDSM because she's having issues. So it's like, oh, that's kind of a neat way to spin that. Because the whole time she's just laying in this bed talking to this guy who identifies himself as asexual. So it's like the supersexual meets the asexual, so he actually has a very even ground to speak from. But I got to talk about the ending, and I'll go ahead and spoil it, because the two movies are not worth your time if you're not okay with the movie ending badly. He ends up putting her to bed and saying, well, just need to sleep. And apparently, everything that's happened sparks some kind of curiosity in him. So he ends up coming back into her, the guest room or wherever she is, and trying to fuck her, but like not very well in any sense. And then she takes offense because not only like has she had all this crazy drama involving sex, but she's gotten away from it somewhat again. And she's just had, before she started telling the story, she had a very pivotal moment in her life, and they discuss that, and she calls him her like only friend, and she's kind of at a point where she could find peace with everything. So, sure enough, she ends up shooting him. I'm just like, why the fuck would you write the story like that?
It's just, yeah. I don't understand why they would do that.
I don't know if that was too all over the place, but fuck. I mean, like, and the irony of that ending too is that he was the one that reminded her, or that told her why the gun didn't work when she tried to use it before. He's like, you have to chamber it. If there's not a round loaded, you can't fire it. So sure enough, like, and it's all black too, so it doesn't show her killing him. But she reaches for the gun, she chambers and kills him, and the movie ends.
I think I might skip that one.
Yeah, don't. I can't suggest that. That is a movie that's for a very specific audience. Because you've got to be able to look at the movie the entire time with all this sex going on and the madness involved in everything, like, and not just be like, yeah, I'm watching porn. Because that's not what the movie is. It's not pornographic in that sort of sense, but it has a lot of things that are equivalently pornographic. Okay, so one more crazy movie, and then I'll mention something we can't talk about, and then we can talk about the pick of the week.
Yes, we still haven't got to that yet.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I always drag us down in this. I need to find a faster way. This was another movie my neighbor had suggested that it turns out I actually watched before. Wakewood.
You what?
It's called Wakewood. I think it's set in England. The accents are all really like this nice point between American and English. The guy who played Wormtail in Harry Potter's in it. Okay, no reaction.
No.
But he plays like the town councilman or whatever, like the elder. But the short version is that these veterinarians like have a daughter, like she's on the animals. They send her to school one day like they do every day. She stops and to talk to this dog that they fixed. And the dog attacks her and kills her, like rips her throat out.
Sounds lovely.
So yeah, so we start with a comedy, but then really not. But we get to this point where it turns out that the people of Wakewood, where these guys move to get away from everything, have the ability to bring people back from the dead for 3 days. And normally they use it to say goodbye to their loved ones. So they bring her back, but of course the plan all the time was to lie to the guys so they could have their kid again. Which makes me think that they were actually Americans. But so they lie about how long she's been dead, and so everything goes wrong with her because she's been dead too long. So like they try to leave with her, they can't do that because she starts dying again. The little girl starts murdering people because she's actually like corrupted by demons or something. I don't know. But like, there's very little value to the movie, I think, because they end up doing all this. A lot of people die. They put her back in the ground, and then she drags her mom back in with her. And the end of the movie is, dude, like, he brought his wife back. I have no idea why. After everything that happened with their daughter. You know what I'm saying?
It doesn't sound like a compelling watch at all. So
Yeah. Agreed.
yeah, I think I'll skip that one as well.
Yeah, don't watch that one, Charlie. Red vs. Blue Season 9, I watched that last night.
Not yet there, so no spoilers.
Are you excited?
Cautiously.
I did want to ask you, I don't know if you're open to this or not. I don't know how you watch the movies. If you could record yourself watching the first, 20, 25 minutes.
I could.
I would love to see the expression on your face at this one point in there, but I don't want to narrow it down too far because then you'll just be waiting on it.
Right, okay, yeah. I'll give that a go.
I don't know. It's not something that I'm used to doing either. So if you don't do it, it's cool. But this week was Charlie's pick, and it was
Van Helsing.
Talk about your movie some, because I need to drink water.
It was perhaps one of the weirdest picks I've made. Not in the actual film itself, but the fact that it ticked all of the boxes that would have worked for me normally, but I just wasn't interested.
Oh, really?
We are having this weird thing where we both have completely conflicting opinions, but I just wasn't. I mean, that's not to say I didn't like it, because I liked what I saw, but I just found myself drifting off and wanting to do something else rather than watch the film.
You know what? I like it in general. It's great to watch because there's cool stuff happening, but there's very little substance, and I think we agree on this.
Yeah. We would.
So in this. Oh, it's not out yet. I don't know. I would say, even for my change of scene, I was gonna say I would have liked this to be more than just one movie with lots of monsters in it or creatures.
I think that was one thing that kind of put me off a bit. It was well, he's doing this, and then suddenly there's this monster, and then there's this monster, and wait, hang on, Frankenstein's monster? It was that kind of...
It's a little noisy.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Now, see, I don't want to... I like noisy because it helps me a little bit sometimes, but people complain about Spider-Man 3 because there was 3 villains. They're like, oh, it's too many villains. It crowds the story. Or it does the exact opposite. It spreads it too thin. I think we see a little bit of that here, but I don't believe in that principle. I think if you write it badly, it's written badly, but you can have as many heroes or villains as you want, and it's still interesting.
Yeah, but you've got to be careful with how you're writing it, obviously.
Yes,
but
go ahead.
No, I just don't... There were things like Frankenstein's monster, I don't think really added a huge amount to it. You could have just had that as another human character and it would have been fine.
Well, if you look... Well, it had to be a special human character. You could have had it work with the werewolf. You could have. Because what it really looked like... Because it looked like they wrote the story and they're like, we need something else. Be like, well, what if this character was actually like Igor? I was like, well, if we got Igor, could we have Frankenstein in there? Well, we could add him to the beginning. That way we have the monster, and the monster could be the special thing, and that gives us reasons for this scene and this scene and this scene to happen. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. I'm just thinking of it in that sense, and yeah, it makes a bit more sense. But then to have Frankenstein's monster essentially become, well, I wouldn't say one of the main characters, but one of the main supporting characters, when, I don't know, it just seems a bit too much of a role, and then to be solemnly paddling off into the distance at the end of the film.
Well, I mean, he's gonna go his own way if he's still alive, but I thought our argument was that he didn't really need to be there. I was just commenting on the writing process.
Well, yeah.
personally, I would have rather seen Val Helsing Hunts the Wolfman. Like, I would have loved to see that as its own movie.
Do you think there's room for them to have made another movie out of that then?
Another Val Helsing?
Yeah, almost as though, right, okay, I've just survived this, now I want to go and find out why or how this whole werewolf business comes about. You could have had it as a sequel, I suppose.
No, I actually don't think this movie leaves any room for a sequel. It's really like a movie and a half. Because the whole thing with Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde could have been its own movie.
Mm.
I would have loved to seen like they're referencing him chasing him through London. I would have loved to seen that.
Yeah, that was a thing as well. It seemed to jump from scene to scene pretty quickly as well, especially in the early bit.
Well, because the stuff with Frankenstein and creating the monster, we didn't need that. We didn't need that at all. It's totally unimportant. And then the thing with Hyde, we really didn't need that. The only thing those were there for were to introduce the characters.
Probably where you
Go ahead.
Probably where you could have saved some time on this film. This was a 2-hour plus film. Completely unnecessary, in my opinion.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying, is that we could have split it up into multiple films, and I think it would have been better. And you're saying reduce it entirely?
Yeah, you could have... I'm of the opinion that it's got to be a pretty special film to be able to go more than 2 hours and still be good.
I don't know. I think 2 hours is an hour and a half to 2 hours is good. 2 hours to 2.5 hours. It has to be good to keep you wanting to watch it. And 3 hours is just fucking long.
Avatar.
Fuck Avatar. Wait, you're talking about the M. Night Shyamalan?
James Cameron one, which
Oh,
is virtually
that one.
3 hours.
Okay. I was thinking M. Night Shyamalan. No, yeah, Avatar is just long, but it's there to be fancy. It's not there for a story. Watchmen. Watchmen was 3 hours and damn well worth it, but it's a heavy fucking movie. You there?
Sorry, you lagged a lot then.
Watchmen is a heavy movie. It's 3 hours and it's worth it, but you don't come out of it feeling good.
You come out of it feeling like you...
Well, I went and watched it in theaters with people, and a long-time Watchmen fan left the theater going, that was fucking depressing. It was good, but depressing. I'm like, I liked it. But, I mean, I was ready for it. I went in going, okay, this is 3 hours, let's go. So you can't just pop it on and be like, oh, shit, this is 3 hours. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to be prepared for something, I suppose.
Yeah, but like, okay, but even this at 2.5, I think we could split it off into 2 hour-and-a-half movies. Hour and a half to 2 hour movies. I think this would have been fine. Personally, I would have liked to see a whole string of Val Helsing movies where he's hunting down stuff. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's definitely room for more, and there's a reboot. And # Tom Cruise.
What was that? You want Tom Cruise to play Van Helsing?
No, Tom Cruise is confirmed to be...
You're lagging a little bit, buddy. I have no idea what this looks like on the live broadcast, but we are going from Florida all the way to England, so I apologize.
Hang on.
You just gonna put that picture of yourself up again?
No. Stars.
That's what we need to do. Like, we're having trouble. Is we need to have a picture of ourselves with the overlays in place, so that you could just put the picture up and then talk, and then your picture with your overlays is showing.
Yeah, that would work.
Oh, Danny Danger, I love you. Stop messaging this group. How do I mute this? Okay, but you were saying something.
Yeah, Tom Cruise is going to be Van Helsing.
He's going to be Van Helsing, or that's who you want to be Van Helsing?
No, is it? It's going to happen.
Oh dear, I don't know if that's a good idea.
I think it's a terrible idea.
If Keanu Reeves plays a vampire he's hunting, I think we've got a movie, though.
that could work, actually, yeah.
One of the worst stories of all time, but it could be like this huge action thing.
It's so bad it's good.
Yeah, it'd be one of those. I'd be super happy. I mean, I like the movie. I recommend it to people, but I wouldn't. This is not one I'd watch over and over. And I'm surprised because I really was watching this thinking like this is a Charlie movie. Shame that.
But I just wanted it to end. I was just not been doing your the compulsion with it. 30.
Charlie, I gotta test something here. Your lag's killing me.
Fuck.
I want to try and see. Shh, kitty. If I take a screen capture real quick and I save it as an image, if I can just post it up as an overlay and see if that helps us at all.
You bugger.
Not, yeah, I should have taken a screen capture view for me. That would have been confusing. Sorry, there's just occasionally you gotta experiment with stuff, and personally, I find it very interesting. So I can actually turn my camera off at this point. Can you still see the? Can you see my picture?
I can see the WeAreMovieClub logo.
You can't see the overlay. Okay.
No.
Interesting. But you haven't lagged out since I did it.
Fair enough.
This is insane. Maybe I am the problem.
Maybe you are.
Maybe it's just cross-continental nonsense. So no, but that could be a good thing, especially with I mean, Tom Cruise and Keanu Reeves, they both have that same kind of like I'm here to look the part type thing going on, and it could work.
It could work. Yeah, it could do. I'd give it a chance. Let's put it that way.
Oh, we have comments? Why is it not showing up on the tracker? Sorry, Charlie, I do normally monitor these things. Apparently, Alan loves 90s stuff too. I don't know why his page came up instead of the comment, but...
Well, we know that.
Yeah, totally. You just come on here and say it, guy. Love
Sorry?
90s Nickelodeon. I've talked to Alan and saying like you can just come on here and discuss it with us. But, and then Alora.Catherine did watch what? Did she just share it? I don't know what this is. I get a notification like if you look on like YouTube, it goes, "Did you watch?" Yes. But I don't see her comment.
I'll believe you. I can't see that at the moment.
So confused by how this works now.
It's never been useful at the best of times.
Yeah, Google Plus is always kind of like a struggle to work with, but Hangouts has proved useful. It's proved an easier way to do it because We could do it through like Twitch. Well, I guess we can't do it through Twitch. But we could find another way to do a podcast, stream it ourselves.
Mm.
And I've got a server where we could do that, but I'd much rather just do Hangouts. Simple.
Oh, technology.
Yeah, sorry, Laura. I don't know if you're still watching, but I have no idea what's happening with nonsense. What if I just pull up the thing and look at the comments section? Is that too simple? Is that too hard?
Probably.
But I gotta make sure I stop the feed so I'm not listening to myself. I hate that. It's one of those things where, like, I don't want to listen to myself talk. You get that, right?
All the time.
Alright, I'm trying to look at this real quick. Anything? You said there's something you wanted to talk about earlier. You wanted to come back to.
Oh God, what was it? I can't remember. I should have written it down.
It was something about like us watching movies that we think we would like, but maybe not.
Well, yeah, no, that was just like a linking reference to Van Helsing, where I thought I'd like it, but it turns out I didn't that much.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. So confused.
No change there.
Like all but exhausted. And I hate looking at myself pop up, and then my mouth isn't moving. It's very strange to me. I'm gonna try killing it and see if I can. If it crops up again, because that would be an interesting thing if that's the problem.
It could be.
Especially since I have the better internet connection. I guarantee it.
Oh yeah, I guarantee it as well.
But maybe it's one of those things. It's as long as one or the other is minimal, then it's not a big deal. All right. Future stuff coming up. You mentioned that you are going to die by work very soon.
Well, I have Thursday and Friday off this week, so I'm going to watch Red vs. Blue on a train. That's the plan.
Are you headed back to your parents' house? Is that what you've been?
Yeah, I'm going back up for 2 days, so...
okay. Someone misses his mommy.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm sorry. Okay, so me, I just got to work on finishing off this crowdfunding stuff. Hopefully Kickstarter will stop being mean to me.
Yes, you've got progress going on there, haven't you?
The smallest, tiniest bits. I've actually, been working on getting production art done myself, because, I don't know, just seemed like the easier way to do it, because part of the crowdfunding thing is you need videos and pictures and stuff to reference, so you don't look like you're just some guy in the basement trying to raise money for bombs. But get out of the way. So, like, there's what I've been working on so far for 9 cards title art. It's nothing special, but I've got diagrams on like how the layout of the game's set up, so I'll be able to edit that into the campaign fundraising video thing, and then I'll be able to link to everything, because everyone is used to donating to things certain ways. So, like, I set up a GoFundMe, Patreon. I've got a Patreon. What's the other one? Indiegogo, and then Kickstarter. As soon as I kick off the Kickstarter properly, then I'll promote the other ones. But I need arty people, so if someone's watching this and likes to draw bullshit, let me know.
If you specifically like drawing bullshit, then
No
do
cow
feel free
patties.
to get in touch.
The other problem is that on top of managing the crowdfunding stuff, work, YouTube, because that takes time, and trying to stay sane in all of it, I've got to try to create these documents saying, like, telling my artists what I actually need from them, because I think that's where I'm stuck at right now, is that I need this list of monsters and stuff. Be like, hey, you should draw these things. Because I lost my old one, don't know where it went. So I've got to recreate one. So I've been trying to work on that. It's just a lot harder than I remember it being. But I think I just need to write down a bunch of stuff and then throw it in spots.
Mm.
You ready to go, Charlie?
I'm just about there, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
It's been a while.
You want to take us out today, or should I?
No, you do it for a change. You always make me do it. Why am I always the one to do it?
No, I make you go first, and then I do all the We Are Movie stuff as well.
Camera, first. Camera,
Okay.
first.
So, I'm Kamurai.
First.
You can find me on YouTube. Shut up while I'm doing this. On these channels, I have thoughts and vlog stuff. I've got gaming stuff. I got media review stuff, which is involved with We Are Movie Club. And you can go up here to yell at me on the Twitter at Kamurai25. Just a simple "you suck" will do. It lets me know that somebody paid attention and lets you vent a little bit. And I don't care that you're taking out your aggressions on me. So, yay.
Because he's an optimist like that.
No.
And I'm Charlie. I have channels here too. I have my personal one, which I just do film reviews for, to be honest. Gaming division, which I need to be working on things. And
We need to build your greenhouse still, don't we?
We need to finish my greenhouse at some point, yes. That can go
Okay.
back on gaming division. And then, yes, We Are Movie Club, where you will see me on average twice a week, if we're lucky. And then I have Twittery stuff up here, where I just post inane nonsense and shite.
Charlie, just to pick on you a little bit, I love that you're so professional that you went like this across your face.
Because if I go like that, I'm just... How about if I go
The
like
whole point
that?
is that you shouldn't be covering your face. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be doing that on camera.
Is that better?
Use your other hand. Stop. Okay, just take us out.
Yeah, so if you want to contact me, you can find me on those Twitter pages there. If you want to contact me down here or watch any of my shiz, it's on YouTube there. Otherwise, I'll just go back to drinking tea. Thank you for watching.
We Are Movie Club. We do movie reviews every week. We alternate picks out of whoever's active. We also have a show Mondays and Wednesdays that you go check out, and you can yell at us at We Are Movie Club if you want to get involved and you like movies and you watch this and want to do stuff with us. By all means, hit us up.
Please do.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.